All right, thank you for joining us today with Mia Speaks Life, and it is springtime, and I'm really excited about spring being here. And of course, with spring, we are always working on spring cleaning items. And today we have three guests who are going to share their insight on what it looks like to create spring cleaning for ourselves mentally, spiritually, and physically. So we're going to start off with Brandon. Brandon's going to introduce himself, and then we're going to go down the line.
All right, cool. Brandon Peters, longtime journalist, am by day an associate creative director at an agency, and the other 16 hours of the day, I run a couple situations. I'm the co-host and co-creator of Day One Radio, and also the co-host and founder of Hip Hop Tribute.
Christina Rogers, by day assistant principal at Daniel McLaughlin Thurl High School, and also executive director of nonprofit Elite Sisterhood Inc., where I mentor young ladies and prepare them for post-secondary options.
Sylvester Pierce, I am one half of the Black Packers. I am 1/3 of the nonprofit Black Packers crew. We specialize in teaching people about community involvement, emergency preparation, and firearm safety.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I'm happy to have each of you here. So I'm going to start the conversation off with self-love. What does that look like for you, and why is it important? Let's start with Sylvester.
Self-love is first off important because it's a ground. It's a base level. It's where you start looking at and really identifying flaws, identifying greatness, really defining who you are. I never put a real what is it on when I say it because for everyone it is different. For me, it's not being in the same place as I move into the future. Right. So if I'm, as the Bible says, the man who looks in the mirror and then forgets who that person is, he ain't moving too well. So when I look at certain flaws I have, look at mistakes I've made, just making sure with self-love, I correct it. I make sure those that were involved know that I understand what I did. It's not happening again. Make sure I know that for myself, and then move on. Make sure it don't happen again.
So I have a question for you all to piggyback off of what Sylvester just said. Since we're talking about spring cleaning in an environment and space where we're looking at the media, social media, the world, self-love isn't always promoted, loving yourself. And so because you're in the media, let's talk about it. How could someone who doesn't love themselves, who doesn't really understand what that looks like, how do you overcome that, and what does that look like?
I mean, I think everybody's situation is a little different. I think the most important thing is figuring out where you're missing that step. Why don't you love yourself? Like, is it something that you haven't dealt with from your past? Is it something that your words from other people that you're accepting as fact when they're not? Or is it a situation where you're just making bad decisions and you're disappointed with yourself? But I think what people need to understand is regardless of any of that, life is a process. It's a journey. Nothing happens overnight. So whatever the situation is, it's necessary to face it first and foremost. And if that means facing it yourself, or if it means facing the people who have done things to you, it's necessary in order to get to that next step of loving yourself and accepting yourself for who you are.
And Christine, what about you? I know that you are inspiring young ladies all across the city of Atlanta, and that you teach self-love. What do you teach your girls on a daily basis?
The biggest thing that I would always teach the young ladies is to walk in your own lane and embrace that lane, because everyone's journey is different. And the moment that you understand that your path is uniquely designed for you, it becomes easier for you to embrace all of the challenges that go along with it. And it also becomes easier for you to withdraw from what social media has to say about what an image of beauty is or the best body looks like, because you have created your own perception of reality based on the lane that you walk in daily. And not allowing anybody to ever dim that light that's inside of them. If you If we are basing our self-love based on external factors, then that's where the danger comes. So it all has to start within. I think one of the something that becomes problematic is that we are not taught to love ourselves. Even as children, we are a lot of times just taught to love thy neighbor, love your cousins, love your friends, all of that
Right.
stuff, right? Our parents tell us to take care of ourselves, but we don't have a lot of conversation about love yourself. What are you doing to take care of yourself? So it's quite natural to project love on others. But as we grow older, we realize all of the things that we're putting out into the universe, we need to pour into our own souls as well.
And how do you do that?
Like he said, it's a process.
Yeah.
What is, I mean, tangible things that you do, Brandon, or Sylvester, or Christy, to show that you love yourself. Because one of the challenges that I see, even with the students that we deal with, and my friends, or my peers, or my own family members, they simply are looking for love and validation from other people, whether it's likes on Facebook or likes on Instagram, or this guy doesn't like me, so I don't like myself. They're looking for validation outside of themselves. And I think a lot of that has to deal with a lot of people don't know what love looks like for themselves. And sometimes you almost have to go back to understanding, you know, your creator, like understanding your relationship with God, because in my opinion, God is love, right? So if you can't really understand that, then it's difficult to love yourself.
Right.
So does anyone want to
I
chime
think
in?
the simple level, tangible things that you can do to love yourself for somebody who may not be at the point where they can deal with all the spiritual stuff yet. So take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, bathe regularly, get your hair cut, get your hair done. If you like makeup, do your makeup. Make sure your clothes are pressed, make sure you're presentable when you go out on the road, because if you're showing like, okay, yeah, I'm making sure I look good, I'm making sure I'm presentable, not because you're supposed to wear this or wear that, because this is what I like.
Right.
Then that's a step. That's a tangible thing that anybody can do.
Right.
I like that you mentioned the creator in that. In Genesis, they don't say exactly how long the creator was by himself before he started creating. We just know it was a long time. And I wonder how comfortable he had to be by himself before he was like, all right, cool, I want some company, let me make it. I go to the movies by myself. I
Yeah.
go eat alone. I keep a book somewhere around. Being comfortable in my own skin is huge for me. It gives me more to share with others, but it also keeps me centered. It just keeps me centered. I look at spring cleaning as 4 weeks, and I break those weeks down. And if I don't, it's you walk into your house and the house is just a mess. And oh man, I'll never clean this house up. But if you today is living room day, and I'm gonna make sure I vacuum. I'm gonna make sure I go for a walk. Like those are small, you said, tangible things that you can do that gives you a sense of accomplishment each time.
Yeah.
And I'll add one last thing. I took Instagram off the phone.
Why?
I have two phones. I'll pull them out. This is Instagram phone, and this is talk text phone.
Okay.
I didn't need the distractions that came with it. I didn't need to read everyone's advice on relationships and who did what and the next conspiracy theory and did so and so see this when I posted it and are they gonna like it? No, I'll check it twice a day, and once when I'm at work, once when I get home, I turn it off and I throw it in the and that's it. Keep those things simple.
Decluttering.
It's part of decluttering.
Yes. And Miss Christy, what do you do to show self-love?
Oh my goodness. I do the things that I enjoy doing. I find my people. And so I always share my story and talk about like how, I journeyed through so many schools growing up. And I always was able to find my people wherever I went. So I connect with people who I am naturally drawn to. Another way that I show self-love is by doing the things that are important to me, spending time with my family, like spending uninterrupted time with my boys, like no cell phone, no distractions while we are just laying in the bed, watching a movie, and fully engaged with them. Spending time with my husband, no distractions, just like uninterrupted time. And then for myself, because I don't get a lot of me time alone, I make time to just take a hot bath. Maybe I might put on some John Coltrane or something like that, have me a glass of red wine, because I just need time to just detach from everything. You know, I'm constantly going, and so I just need a chance to kind of detach from the world. And finally, pouring into others and building them up. I think one of the first and most important steps in self-love is to know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to love something that you don't even know. And
That's true.
to get to know yourself first is the first step for me in the self-love process.
All right. I think everything that you said, all of you have said, has been awesome and very pertinent. I think for me, I think self-love, I take the time to just relax. Like, some people call it like mental health days. And being self-employed and working all the time and, you know, trying to launch this business and work on this idea and work on this different thing, sometimes I lose time for myself. So even today, I took at least 3 hours today just to sit and be still and relax. And that to me is an act of self-love, just so I can center myself and calm myself down. Because sometimes I go to the ledge, y'all. I'm not even gonna front. Like, I'm just excited or doing too much, and I'm on the ledge, and I'm like, okay, take a step back, take it easy, relax, sit down and be still. And that's important for me, and that's an act of self-love for me. And I think other people should definitely try to explore those ideas of how will you love yourself? What does it look like? Whether it's making sure that you're dressed appropriately and feeling good about yourself, because I know when you look good, you feel good, or taking time for yourself, or decluttering, you know, or disconnecting from social media, which kind of brings me to the next topic I want to bring up. I think all of us are pretty active on social media at some point. And I think a lot of times social media is connected to mental health issues and how people feel about themselves. And I'm seeing it a lot, not just for the students that we serve with our nonprofit, but also for adults. So if we're talking about spring cleaning, what are some suggestions that you all have for just, you know, disconnecting to things that might be unhealthy for us? And we'll start with Brandon.
I would say just be cognizant of how you start your day. But like the first few minutes of your day, like just get up and don't connect to phone, TV, news, any of that. Just get right with you, get right with God, whoever you believe in, whatever.
Right.
And start your day like that, because you don't know what's gonna happen when you walk out that door.
Right.
You don't know who sent you a crazy text message when you were asleep.
Right.
You don't know when
Right.
your homies or your family member done posted something crazy online. And
Exactly.
people hitting you about. You don't know none of that. So before you get to that point, just center yourself, get right with yourself, and then handle your day. Because if you start off with chaos, 9 times out of 10, your day is gonna be chaotic.
Exactly.
I agree.
One of the things that I started practicing a few months ago was journaling and meditating in the morning. It was the hardest thing to do. I'll be totally honest with you, because, like, you know,
But you're
I
an
just like
English
to-
person.
I know, but you know, it's like now
Writer.
I realized, like, the pain I was putting some of my scholars through, like, right, this is a free write. Oh, it's a free write. I might just have 2 words to write. I'm like, no, write a whole page. So I was writing, my life coach had me writing like for 5 minutes and then reflecting for 2 minutes, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just too much. This feels. But I promise you, on the days where I do that consistently, I feel so calm. I feel so at ease throughout the entire day. The days where I get up and I check my phone first, like, oh my gosh, is the teacher going to be out? Who's absent? Who's this? I feel like all over the place. Got to go downstairs, get coffee, get the kids up. Like, I just hit the ground running instead of centering myself first. And I really do. I do appreciate the time to just write down whatever my thoughts could be for the week, for the day, you know, and then just meditate and go from there.
Can I ask a question? What is it about writing or journaling? Like, what is it about that frees you or helps you with your day?
It's just like, it just gets me going. So I might write something about reflecting on an experience that I'm having in the workplace or at home, and a goal that I might have set for myself. Or I might, this year I didn't set a New Year's resolution. I just said my word is focus. Because I'm all over the place. I do a ton of things, and I was like, I gotta focus on what's most important. So I might write something from Jay-Z, like, I'm focused, man. You know, and I just might be like, I'm focused, and I just might get in that zone for the day, and I'm calm. And the funny thing about it is, I share this with my scholars, and they can tell the days I don't meditate.
Are you serious?
They be like, you didn't meditate this morning, Miss Rogers. You on
Go back home,
edge.
sit down.
Yes.
Do better the next day.
Do
Just
better.
right.
Yes, do better.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
it helps. It definitely does.
And I'm not a writer. I'm like a math person, so I know that would be a difficult
It is a
exercise
push. It is a push.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll try it. What
Yeah.
about you, Sylvester?
What do I do? I started drinking tea and playing more records, less MP3s, like
Yeah.
vinyl records. Shouts to Jaida Shea.
Yeah.
Shouts to Just Add Honey, both black-owned, family-owned businesses in
Okay.
Atlanta.
Okay.
They both do classes on finding plants,
Mm.
which is what tea is. Find those plants and each of those plants is for something. It might be for meditation, it might be for detoxing, it might be for energy, but it takes time to make a cup of tea. You have to get your leaves right, you gotta get your cup, your hot water, you have to let it sit.
Mm-hmm.
That's time when you're sitting and you're thinking about your day and starting your day, and then you know what you're ingesting. In our classes, we teach when you're gaining information, what are you going to do with it? You want to learn about everything that's on TV. You want to ask your friends who's dating who and what's going on. Fine. What are you going to do with the information once you have it? How's it going to benefit you? If it's not going to benefit you, do you really need it?
Right.
And you look at food the same way. I love ice cream. God knows I do. But I hit a wall with some things. I'm like, I'm eating this. How's it benefit me today? I got to take those things in moderation. So, simple processes. Records, you got to pick it. You got to pick it out of something, put it on, take it. Think about what you're playing, and you have to go back to that song every time if you want to hear it again. That's a process. And anything that you have that's a process takes thought and steps. You can't skip them. You skip them, things go out of place. So it helps keep me in rhythm.
Right. So how many of y'all have spring cleaning projects going on right now?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
So on a, mental, physical, spiritual level, are y'all working on any spring cleaning projects?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Let's start with Miss Christine.
So physically, my office space and my basement at home. I have my office space because so many, I deal with juniors and seniors, and they one of my mentors told me that told me that I am a student principal. Like, I'm very student centered. So they want to eat lunch in my office. They want to do all these things. So I have all of this stuff all over, but I can't concentrate when I have book bags in the corner and all of these different things. So on a scale of, I guess, 1 to 10, my office is probably I'm probably about 7 or 8 finished with rearranging and decluttering that. My basement, on the other hand, is probably about a 5. I'm not gonna say I am. I'm gonna speak like I was a hoarder. I was a hoarder. Like, I moved things into my house that I had no use for, and so as a result, I'm looking at this like, trying to be all symbolic and stuff. I wonder if I've done some of those same things in my head with my own life. Have I taken things through my life that I did not need? I can't do anything with them. At one point in time, they mattered so much.
Right.
But at this point in this time, there's no space for them. So I just have to release it.
How are you releasing it? I'm curious.
How am I releasing things that I can't deal with anymore?
Yes.
Part of it is writing my book,
Okay.
and
Tell us about your book really
Sure.
quickly.
Okay, so I'm working on a book about that talks about my childhood and growing up with a mother who was addicted to crack cocaine and having to move around like almost every single school year. and being faced with a tough decision as to whether or not to take a full ride to college or to stay back and help my brother and raise my little sister, and of course I chose the latter. And so my book is not it's not a cover-to-cover autobiography, but it's a book of memoirs, like different stories that teach different lessons to the scholars, so that they can kind of get some nuggets from it. So I have completed chapter 1. I feel proud of that. And that is a way that I declutter, by sharing. The more I share my story, the more I feel like I'm releasing a part of me that I was on some levels maybe ashamed of at some point in time. Because when people meet me, they're like, oh, she's an AP, or she has a nonprofit and she has it all together. And I would just gloss over those past things and not really feel the need to tell so much of that. But the more I tell it, the more free I feel.
Yeah, that's
Great.
awesome.
Thank you.
Physically, man, I normally literally every 3 months get rid of stuff, but I haven't had the opportunity or taken the opportunity to do that, so I'm in the process now, pulling stuff out that I'm not wearing, I'm not using, or whatever, and either giving it away or putting it in storage. I feel spiritually, it's not really a spring thing. It's just, if I feel like I need to not do what you gotta do, which,
Wow.
you know what I mean? I'm a firm believer.
Yeah.
So you mean in terms of, you gotta expound on it. Tell me more.
It is what it is. It's not a deep situation.
It is kind of deep though. In real life, it is deep, because if you have relationships with people and you find that those relationships aren't what they need to be, or have changed or altered in some way, and you have a history,
I'm in peace with that though.
how do you have peace with it? Talk to
Because
me.
everything isn't permanent. Some
Wow.
things are temporary. My thing is, if I'm not getting something out of a situation and I'm not giving something to a situation, then what's the purpose
You
of
let
it?
it go.
And some things are just cool, we can just hang out here and there, but that's what it is. I definitely, a lot of people know me, I know a lot of people, but my circle is very small.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've known people for over a decade that don't know where I live.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's extremely small. So yeah, if it's a
And
situation
you're okay
where
with that?
super okay with it.
Okay.
My thing is, you talk about self-love, I came from a family who loves me. I've never looked for friends.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we connect, we connect. I'm not the person that's gonna have a new job and be like, hey, let's go hang out. Fam, I got friends, I have family.
Right.
I've been celebrated my entire life.
Right.
So you know what I mean? That doesn't move me.
Right.
So yeah, if it's a bad situation or it's just serves no purpose, I don't have the energy to give to it.
And so you set up those boundaries.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's part of your decluttering.
And you know me, I'm a very cut and dry person.
I know, but everybody's not like that. I'm not a very cut and dry person, and sometimes I hold on to things probably longer than I should. So
we all do though.
So how do you cut it off though, Brandon?
You just do, man. It's okay. It doesn't. The thing is, I think people expect things to feel good when a decision is made. Sometimes they don't feel good. Sometimes you just got to deal with how it feels in the moment, because it's greater good later on.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. And what about you?
Everything he just said.
Ditto.
With the relationships, I told myself any person who we had any type of financial involvement with one another, and it wasn't benefiting me, but constantly benefiting them, we don't need to be around each other anymore. And I mean, hey, how you doing? Family's good? Okay, cool, bye.
Right.
And especially any loans that went out, and call me when you got my money.
Wow.
If not, and it was needed, because you're still having fun and living life. I'm making decisions off of funds that should have been back where they were, off of a trust that I gave it to you and I would get it back. Since you want to disrespect me by not returning it or bringing up the conversation, I'm going to keep my peace. I'm going to cleanse my spirit and just let it go. And because anything more than that is going to cost me more than the money I gave you.
Right.
As far as projects I have going I try to drink nothing but fluids once a month.
So you fast?
It's a fasting, but it's I got it from Jay to Shay. They just tea, water, and anything you don't have to chew.
Right.
It's good for your digestive system.
Yes,
For
it is. And your spirit too.
yes, very much so. The clarity that comes from it is amazing. And one of my homeboys that does it with me, he used to be on drugs hard. And he said that was something he started doing and it helped him get off of drugs. So
Wow.
I'll call him and, hey, we're doing it today. He'll call me and remind me, and all day that's what we do.
That's awesome.
The Black Packers, one of our classes is get out and get home. And part of being clean and spring cleaning is organizing your home and getting things you don't need out of it. In an emergency situation, grab what you need, go where you need to go. You can't do that unless you've prepared and have that set up.
Right.
So I got all kind of stuff for emergencies all over my house. And one of my friends came over and was like, this ain't what we do. If you can't, one of the tests we do for ourselves, Black Packers, if you cannot close your eyes and walk through your entire house without stumbling, you have a problem.
Wow.
You never know when
Decluttering
power's
for
going to
real.
go out. You never know when someone's going to be chasing you in your home.
Yeah.
You never know when something might get in your eyes and you need to go and get to water and clean. You can't do that tripping over stuff that shouldn't be there in the first place.
Right.
Sure.
Well, yes. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
So we're going to close out. We have a final resolve, and I think the resolve is that I'd like to hear from each of you all about what we've talked about. If you can sum it up, with one thing that you want to leave with the audience that will be watching this and hearing this story about loving yourself, spring cleaning, decluttering your life, what would it be? And I'll start with Miss Christie.
So that's a lot. Okay, so starting with the loving yourself part and decluttering, and then to declutter. I would say that
You can pick one or the other. You don't have to hit all the parts, but whatever you want to leave with the audience.
I'll go back to the first point that I hit on, and that would be to know thyself first and have the courage to be yourself in any situation. Have the courage to walk in your own light and in your own lane and not worry about what's happening to the left of you or to the right of you, because what is happening on the inside of you is so much greater than what's happening on the outside of you. If you control what happens on the inside of you, then the external will follow your lead. So the universe is going to conspire to that. So self-love is really developed by understanding who you are, flaws and all, and being able to stand in front of yourself, have the courage to embrace that and move forward. Be willing to change, be willing to adapt, be willing to fall and get back up,
Yes.
but help somebody along the way.
All right, Brandon.
What other people think about you is none of your business.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day,
Yes.
stop being so concerned with what people think who don't have your best interest at heart.
Amen to
You
that.
waste a lot of
Yes.
time doing that, and it can mess up how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
All right.
Um,
Sylvester.
I'll leave with the project. Our next main project that Black Packers crew is doing, May 11th, Wash Day. We try to give back to the community as much as we can, and we do it with the help of the community. Part of the spring cleaning we do is take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself first, take care of yourself first, and then you can take care of others. So the community helped us with donations. We've taken care of ourselves so that we are able to give those donations to people that need it. Anyone that needs to wash clothes is having issues with it. May 11th at East Point, contact us. Black Packers on IG with a Z, and we'll wash the clothes for free. Show up,
Wow.
clothes get washed, dry, and folded.
That's
All
great.
right.
Support those that support you.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you'd like to share any of your Twitter handles and or information, you can do that now as well.
Sure. You don't need my personal
Your
social media.
business.
You can find my business is Hip Hop Trivia ATL on all social media, and Day One Radio. That's DAY, the number one radio on all social media.
And you can find Elite Sisterhood on IG at ESI Girls, and you can follow me at Coach Christie ATL on IG.
Ours is Black Packers with a Z, on IG and on Facebook, and Black Packers Crew, which is our 501c3, also with the Z, on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, and thank you so much for joining us
You're
today.
welcome.
This has been really awesome, really
Thanks for having
great. Your insight, I'm sure, will definitely help a lot of people who are going to be tuning in. And thank you for choosing to Speak Life, y'all. This is Mia Thornton with Mia Speaks Life. Take care. Have a great day. Yeah!